He wanted $900 for a broken toy. I wanted justice for my best friend. The judge was about to decide who got what. But my neighbor, smug and seething across the aisle, had no idea what I had waiting for him. He thought he was the predator, the one in control, just like he was when he flew his drone. But in that sterile courtroom, he wasn't the one circling overhead anymore. He was the prey, and he had just walked straight into my trap. If you know what it's like to stand up for someone you love, or if you've ever dreamed of seeing a bully get exactly what they deserve, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you are not going to want to miss a single second of this, like this video, and let's dive into a story where justice isn't just served, it's meticulously engineered. It all started about 7 months ago, on a perfectly normal Tuesday. Life was good, quiet. I live in a pretty standard neighborhood, the kind with trimmed lawns and the distant sound of kids playing. For the past 7 years, my life has had one constant, one unwavering source of joy. My dog, Kodiak. He's a 70-pound Malamute, more fluff than fury, with eyes that hold the wisdom of an old soul. Kodiak isn't just a pet. He's my co-pilot in life. He was there, sitting at my feet with his head on my lap, during the all-nighters I pulled to graduate college. He was the first one to race through the door of my first house, his excited barks echoing in the empty rooms, christening it as our home. He's seen me through promotions, breakups, and the simple, quiet evenings that make up a life. He's my family, and I'd do anything for him. That quiet life was shattered by a sound, a high-pitched electric whine like a giant, angry mosquito. My new neighbor had gotten a drone. Now, I don't have a problem with hobbies. People fly model planes. They build ships and bottles. Whatever. But this guy, he didn't just fly his drone. He wielded it like a weapon of annoyance. He'd hover it outside people's second-story windows, a buzzing, whirring, peeping Tom. He'd try to race cars down our residential street, zipping erratically just feet from their windshields. He was, for lack of a better word, a complete and utter jerk. I tried to ignore it. I really did. Until he discovered my backyard. Our yard is our sanctuary. It's fully fenced, a safe space for Kodiak to sunbathe, roll in the grass, and just be a dog. The first time the drone appeared over the fence line, Kodiak was confused. He cocked his head, his big furry ears perked. The drone dipped, then zipped past. The sound sharp and alien. Kodiak flinched. But it didn't stop there. It became the neighbor's favorite new game. Day after day, he would fly it into my private, fenced-in yard, and he would specifically target my dog. He'd hover it just out of reach, the high-frequency buzz clearly agitating Kodiak. My normally calm, confident dog would start to pace, whining, his tail tucked between his legs. Then came the dive bombs. The neighbor would send the drone plummeting down from 30 feet in the air, pulling up just inches from Kodiak's head. The sudden rush of wind and the deafening noise would send my 70-pound dog scrambling for the safety of the back porch, terrified. The sight of it made my blood run cold. My hands would clench into fists. This wasn't a game. This was harassment. It was cruelty. What if he misjudged it? What if one of those plastic rotors, spinning at thousands of RPM, hit Kodiak in the eye, or worse? The first time I walked over, determined to be the reasonable adult, I knocked on his door. He answered with a smug look on his face, like he was expecting me. "Hey," I started, keeping my voice level. "I'm your neighbor. Look, I need you to please stop flying your drone in my backyard. It's really scaring my dog." He let out a short, barking laugh. A laugh that didn't even try to hide its contempt. "It's just a toy, man. Your dog will get used to it." "He's not getting used to it," I said, my jaw tightening. "He's terrified. You're dive-bombing him. Just please, keep it out of my yard." He rolled his eyes, the universal sign for you are wasting my time. "Public airspace, buddy," he sneered. "Nothing you can do about it." He then literally laughed in my face, told me to get lost, and shut the door. I stood on his porch for a moment, stunned. The sheer arrogance, the complete lack of empathy, it was staggering. The harassment continued. It got worse. Now it felt personal. It felt like he was enjoying the power he had to invade my space and terrorize my dog. So, I did what you're supposed to do. I called the non-emergency police line. An officer came out, and he was sympathetic. He listened patiently, but he finished with a sigh. "Sir, I understand your frustration," he said, "but there's not much we can do. I can go over and ask him to stop, but it's a civil issue. We can't force him." The officer did go talk to him, and for about 2 days, there was peace. Then, the high-pitched whine returned. He was back more brazen than ever, as if to say, "See, even the cops can't stop me." I felt powerless. My home, my sanctuary was being violated, and my best friend was being tormented. Every time I heard that sound, a knot of anxiety and rage would twist in my stomach. This went on for months. Months of watching my dog live in fear, in his own yard. Months of me feeling helpless. Then came late December. It was cold, the sky a flat, gray sheet. I'd let Kodiak out, and within minutes, there it was. The whine. I saw the drone rise over the fence, a black plastic spider against the gray sky. It hovered, taunting. I was about to call Kodiak inside when it happened. The neighbor went for another one of his signature dive bombs. The drone dropped from the sky, a screaming projectile aimed right at Kodiak's head. But this time, something was different. Maybe it was months of pent-up fear turning into defiance. Maybe it was just pure instinct. Kodiak didn't run. He stood his ground, tracked the drone with his eyes, and as it swooped down to its lowest point, he leaped. There was a sickening crunch, a spray of plastic and wires. The deafening whine was replaced by an immediate, shocking silence. The drone, or what was left of it, fell to the grass in a mangled heap. Kodiak dropped the piece in his mouth, shook his whole body as if to shake off the entire ordeal, and looked up at me, panting. A wave of relief washed over me, so powerful it almost made me dizzy. It was over. But then came the pounding on my front door. I opened it to find my neighbor, his face purple with rage. "Your monster, your stupid dog destroyed my drone. That's a $900 piece of equipment," he screamed. Spittle flying from his mouth. He was swearing, threatening me, threatening my dog. I just looked at him. The power dynamic had shifted. He was no longer the untouchable man in the sky. He was just an angry man on my porch. I said nothing. I let him scream until he ran out of breath, and then I slowly, calmly closed the door in his face. For a week, there was silence. Blessed, beautiful silence. I thought that was the end of it. Then, the certified letter arrived. A summons to small claims court. He was suing me, not just for the $900 for his drone, but for an additional $300 for denial of access to his property, because the mangled wreck had sat in my yard for a couple of hours before I let him retrieve it. Reading that summons, something inside me snapped. But it wasn't anger. It was clarity. A cold, sharp focus. This guy had terrorized my dog for months, laughed in my face, ignored the police, and now he had the audacity to play the victim, to sue me. Fuck that. He could have blinded my dog. He could have killed him. This stopped being about a drone a long time ago. This was about a bully who was about to learn that when you push someone too far, they push back. And him suing me? It was the best thing that could have ever happened. I went straight to the legal advice subreddit. I laid out the whole story, and the advice that poured in was pure gold. They gave me a roadmap. They told me to stop thinking defensively and start thinking offensively. This wasn't a defense, it was a countersuit, and so I began to prepare. First, the vet. The moment the incident happened, I'd rushed Kodiak to the emergency vet, terrified he'd broken a tooth or swallowed a piece of plastic. The first bill was for the examination and an X-ray to check for internal damage. That was $700. During the X-ray, Kodiak was so stressed they needed to sedate him. That was another $250. I wasn't going to let him be uncomfortable for a second. His well-being was paramount. The vet found a fractured canine tooth. Nothing major, but it needed to be dealt with. So we scheduled a full dental exam with cleaning and repair. That was another $400. While we were at it, the vet prescribed anti-anxiety medication, to help him deal with the trauma, plus a secondary checkup. I bought him special wet food for a week so he wouldn't have to put pressure on his healing teeth. Every single receipt, every single invoice, I saved. I put them in a pristine labeled folder. Next, the evidence. For months, I had been documenting. I had dozens of photos of my backyard, taken from multiple angles, clearly showing my 6-foot privacy fence. Photos that made it impossible for him to argue he had accidentally flown into my yard. But the real bombshell was the video. After the first few incidents, I'd set up a security camera. I had multiple video files, time-stamped, showing his drone repeatedly and intentionally buzzing and dive-bombing my terrified dog. Finally, the research. As advised, I looked up Federal Aviation Administration regulations. It was a gold mine. Operating a drone near an airport, he was just inside the 5-mile radius of a small local airfield. Check. Flying out of the operator's line of sight? He did it constantly. Flying directly over people not involved in the operation? That was me and my dog. Check. Maximum altitude? I had video of his drone so high it was a tiny speck, way above the 400-foot legal limit. And the final piece? I searched the FAA drone registration database for his name and address. Nothing. I compiled everything. The photos, the videos on a USB drive, the meticulously organized vet bills, a printed out list of every single FAA regulation he had violated. I was ready. The day of court arrived. My neighbor was there with a cheap suit and an air of wounded arrogance. He presented his case first. He told the judge that I had a vicious, aggressive animal. He claimed, with a straight face, that I had intentionally trained my dog to be a drone killer. He painted a picture of himself as a hobbyist, just enjoying his property, when my savage beast leaped over and destroyed his expensive equipment. The judge, a woman who looked like she heard every excuse in the book, listened with a bored expression. Then, she turned to me. And your response? I stood up, holding my folder. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't show emotion. I was calm, methodical. Your Honor, I began. My neighbor is not telling the truth. For 6 months, he engaged in a pattern of harassment directed at my dog, inside my fully fenced, private property. I started by presenting the photos of my yard. As you can see, it would be impossible to accidentally fly a drone into my yard and have it end up inches from my dog. Then, I pulled out the USB drive. Your Honor, I have several video files I'd like to play for the court. As the first video played on the courtroom monitor, a hush fell over the room. There it was, in clear HD. The drone, whining like a dentist's drill, repeatedly swooping down on Kodiak, who was yelping and trying to hide. We watched video after video of the same targeted harassment. I could see my neighbor's smug expression begin to falter. The judge's bored look was gone, replaced by a frown of deep disapproval. When the videos were done, the judge looked at my neighbor. You call this just flying a drone? He started to stammer, but I wasn't finished. Your Honor, his claim is that my dog maliciously destroyed his property. My claim is that my dog acted in self-defense and was injured as a result. I then took out the stack of vet bills. This is a bill for $700 for an emergency x-ray. This is a bill for $250 for sedation because of the stress your actions caused my dog. This is a bill for $400 for dental surgery to repair a tooth his drone fractured. This is for medication. This is for a follow-up visit. I laid them out one by one. The total came to nearly $1,600. I then added, I also had to take time off work for these appointments, and I'm asking for compensation for that as well. My neighbor's face had gone from purple with rage to pale with shock. He was sinking, and he knew it. Then, I delivered the final blow. Finally, Your Honor, my neighbor claims to be a responsible hobbyist, but according to FAA records, his drone was never registered. He was also in violation of at least 5 federal flight regulations, including flying within the restricted zone of an airport, flying over people, and flying well above the maximum legal altitude. I have a printout of those regulations here, and I have already forwarded my evidence to the local FAA office for their investigation. The courtroom was silent. The judge looked from the mountain of evidence on my table to the stammering, defeated man across from me. She looked at his initial claim for $1,200. Then she looked back at me. She didn't just dismiss his case. She laughed at it. A short, sharp laugh, just like the one he'd given me on his porch all those months ago. The verdict was swift. His case was thrown out. My countersuit was approved in full. In the end, the man who sued me for $1,200 ended up with a judgment against him. He was ordered to pay me almost $2,000. His face crumbled. The arrogance, the smugness, all of it just evaporated, leaving behind a pathetic, beaten man. He had to write me a check, right there and then. And as he left the courtroom, I knew the FAA investigation was just beginning. Walking out of that courthouse was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. It wasn't about the money, it was about the justice. It was about the fact that this bully, who hid behind a remote control and a sense of entitlement, was finally held accountable. He picked a fight with the wrong man, and more importantly, with the wrong dog. The best part, my backyard is quiet again. It's our sanctuary once more. Some people think revenge is a dish best served cold. I think it's a dish best served in a court of law, with receipts. What's the most satisfying moment of justice you've ever witnessed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching a bully get exactly what he had coming, make sure you've liked this video and subscribed to the channel for more stories of epic revenge and hard-earned vindication. Thanks for listening.